A very good evening and welcome. This is Primetime News here on MTV and Shakti TV. I'm Ramesh Irugal Bandara.
I'm Aishchara Pinto. Let's take a look at your headlines.
President extended a warm welcome upon his return to the island after attending the United Nations General Assembly. Government decides to ease the restrictions on vehicle leasing. Section of the Southern Expressway, which was closed for vehicular movement due to the risk of landslides, reopened. School student from Gaul succumbs to injuries after being knocked down by a train.
President Maithripala Sirisena returned to the island after completion of a highly successful visit to New York, where he made a significant speech at the United Nations General Assembly.
An event was organised to welcome President Maithripala Sirisena at the Bandaranaike International Airport today. The President was welcomed to the island by the Senior Vice Chairman of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Nimal Siripala de Silva, Treasurer of the SLFP, SB Dissanayaka, Ministers and MPs.
අන් කිසිවක් නොවන වගේ අපි විටින් විට පුන පුනා අපට සටහන් කළ යුතුයි. අපේ පුංචි රටට එරෙහිව ලෝකයේ බලවතුන් ඔවුන් විසින්ම හකුලුවාගෙන අවසන්. ඒ වගේමයි ලෝකයේ අපට විරුද්ධව ගොඩනැග දිගු කරමින් මේ ලැබූ ජයග්‍රහණය අරගෙනයි නායකයෙකුට මේ තරම් සතුටක් නැතිව ඇති. තමන්ගේ රටට මෙතුවක් කාලයකට පස මිතුරුකම් කළ හර්ෂයක්. ඇයි මං පරමාදර්ශයක් කියලා කියන්නේ මේ ගෞරවය එතුමන්ට මේ ප්‍රණාමය විශේෂයෙන් සඳහන් කරන්න ඕන අපේ රටේ යුද්ධයක් තිබුණා මේ යුද්ධය තිබුණේ අපේ රටේම මිනිස්සු අතර ඒ විශ්වාසය ඒ රාජතාන්ත්‍රිකභාවය එතුමා තුල නිකම් ආරක්ෂා කරන්නට ඒ අවශ්‍ය ප්‍රතිකර්ම කරනවා නම් ඒ පිළිවෙත
Multi-religious observances took place to invoke blessings on the President.
පූජා කරමින් ලෝතුරු අමාමෑණිය බුදු පියාණන් වහන්සේගේ ආශිර්වාදයද මේ ආකාරයෙන් ලබා ගැනීම වෙනුවෙන් දකින්නේ ඒතකම කරු ජනාධිපතිතුමන්ට ඒ සමග අපි ආරාධනා කොට සිටිනවා මහා සංඝරත්නය වෙත දහත් වට්ටිය පූජා කරමින් සර්ව ආගමික වතාවත් ඉටු කිරීම සඳහා ඊටාම ගෞරවපූර්වකව නමස්කාර පූර්වකව මහා සංඝරත්නය කෙරෙහි දහත් වට්ටිය පූජා කිරීම සඳහා මේ අවස්ථාවේදී අපට මේ ලැබූ ජයග්‍රහණයේ සතුට මේ ලැබූ ජයග්‍රහණයේ තිබෙන විශේෂ
සංඝං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි පානාති පාතාවේ
දෙනාටත් ආශිර්වාදයක් වේවාමයි අප ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරන්නේ සත්සිතින්. ඒ ආශිර්වාදය අද අපි මේ ලබන ජයග්‍රහණයේ සතුටයි. අනාගතයට
වෙනකොට වහන්සේ සුවපත් කරා. එබැවින් මේ මොහොතේදී ඔබ වහන්සේ කාලල්ලාහ් තබාරක ව තාලා ෆී කලාමිල් අසීස් බාද අউযු බිල්ලාහි මිනෂ්
මේ නමස්වාහා ඕම් ශ්‍රීම් ග්‍රීම් කෘෂ්ණාය ගෝවින්දාය ගෝබී ජනවල්ලභාය පරාය පරම පුරුෂාය පරමාත්මනේ පරකර්ම
සංකාරගතං චිත්තං තණ්හානං කය මජ්ජගාති.
ත්‍රිවිධ රත්නයේ පිහිට ආශිර්වාදයේ සමග සර්වජ්‍ය ධාතුන් වහන්සේ.
In order to build a better Sri Lankan identity in the international arena, over the past 2 weeks, President Maithripala Sirisena undertook a mammoth task.
President Sirisena left to the United States of America on the 24th of September to attend the 70th session of the United Nations General Assembly. On the 25th, President Maithripala Sirisena met Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi for a discussion on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly. President Maithripala had also met with Simonetta Sommaruga, the President of the Swiss Confederation, and the President of the International Committee of the Red Cross, Peter Maurer. On the 26th, President Sirisena called on the Secretary General of the UN, Ban Ki-moon. President Sirisena held discussions with the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Nawaz Sharif, and the Prime Minister of Malta, Joseph Muscat. The President, on the 27th of this month, addressed the UNGA session on sustainable development. The following day, the President met with US Secretary of State John Kerry for discussions and also addressed the Leaders' Summit on peacekeeping. President Sirisena also attended the luncheon that was hosted for the world leaders by the UN Secretary General. The President held a discussion with the Prime Minister of New Zealand, John Key, as well. At a meeting, President of the United States Barack Obama praised President Maithripala Sirisena's commitment and actions taken for strengthening of democracy and good governance in Sri Lanka. The President addressed the United Nations General Assembly on Wednesday.
Our new vision for the country involves achieving the twin objectives of sustainable development and reconciliation. A fundamental requirement in this context is dealing with the past honestly and building a modern Sri Lankan nation. In dealing with the past, we will follow a process of truth-seeking, justice, reparation and non-recurrence. The new consensual government, under my leadership, has already taken several steps to introduce and operationalize constitutional and institutional reforms required to accelerate the achievement of these goals.
The National Movement for Peace organised a conference today to raise awareness over the Geneva Resolution. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe expressed the following views at the event.
The world accepts us now since we established democracy in this country and acted towards creating national unity. The people's mandate was protected. Now who is opposing this? If you say that this is a dangerous threat to us, I would like to say that it was you who tied the noose around your own neck. What we did was loosen the noose and save you. To know the truth, you do not need to put the blame on anyone. All we need to know is what really happened. There were shortcomings on both sides. There were wrongs committed. We need to bring about reconciliation through non-recurrence. That is how we can create national unity. And who would oppose that? This is not some kind of a hunt or an attempt to betray the army. The wounds of the beggar have been healed, but some do not want those wounds to heal. That is the situation.
A special religious program was organized in Colombo to invoke blessings on President Maithripala Sirisena and the country.
The religious observances organized at the Sanya Juma Mosque in Colombo was held under the auspices of Minister Faisal Mustafa.
After President Maithripala Sirisena was elected as the president on the 8th of January, Sri Lanka had to face numerous challenges because of the actions of the past. However, the leadership of the president was praised by the United Nations Human Rights Council and the United Nations as well. The president also worked towards saving the country from international pressure. Today we sought blessings at the mosques.
The section of the Southern Expressway between Kokmaduwa and Imaduwa was reopened for vehicular movement this evening. Chairman of the Road Development Authority, Professor J.M.S.J. Bandara, said that the decision to reopen the expressway was taken following an improvement in the weather.
This section of the expressway was closed from between midnight yesterday until 6:30 this morning when it was reopened to the public. However, the section of the road was closed again this afternoon. The section of the Southern Expressway that was closed due to the risk of landslides was the area above the expressway near the 114th kilometer post. This section is between the Kokmaduwa and Imaduwa intersections. A ridge nearly 200 meters long above the expressway was declared as a landslide risk area recently.
I'm currently at the expressway at the 114th kilometer post between Kokmaduwa and Imaduwa. As you can see, the land on the opposite side of the road is completely flooded as a result of the incessant rains. You can also see here that on the other side of the road that a concrete wall erected for protection has collapsed. There are several visible cracks on this wall and you can also see how it sunk in as a result.
Even this afternoon, small earth slips were seen taking place in this area while a large volume of water gushed by.
We have presented several solutions to gain control over this problem and are carrying out steps accordingly. This area is quite unstable, so we will use what is called a soil stabilization method to fix this problem. It is the best technology currently used worldwide. It is due to that there are no reports of soil erosion in instances like this. Several trees fell as we were watching last night.
There is a tower on that precipice. Water gushed through that as well. There are about 16 or 17 houses here. We are all facing severe hardships as a result and have had to move to different houses with our children in the middle of the night.
Deputy Minister of Disaster Management Dunesh Gangkhanda inspected the landslide-prone area this afternoon.
There were some shortcomings that took place when this road was constructed. This place is of high risk. In this area, drains have not been constructed according to the contour lines for the water to flow with ease. There has not been any maintenance here.
The Deputy Minister also engaged in discussion with villagers. The decision to reopen this section of the expressway was taken following a special discussion that took place at the Kokmaduwe intersection office this evening.
If there is no rain, the expressway will be open for vehicular movement. But if it continues to rain again, we will inform the public and close it once again due to the risk of landslides.
As we revealed earlier in the news bulletin, President Maithripala Sirisena arrived in the country today following his visit to the United States of America. Following his arrival, the President convened a media briefing.
The meeting that I had with the Secretary General of the United Nations, Ban Ki-moon, the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, was also present there. In addition, all the state leaders that I met with responded to us in a positive manner. We were welcomed in a warm manner. I need to mention that this comes at a time where there is a positive and prosperous background in the country. In addition, a special domestic legal board will be established. Through that, the alleged war crimes committed by the military and the LTTE can be investigated. I strongly emphasize that this needs to take place in accordance with the Constitution. Through this, we will not allow for the sovereignty and the independence of the country to be questioned. I also invite all the leaders of the accepted political parties for an all-party conference to discuss the content of this. We will take into consideration all of their views. In addition, I invite all the religious leaders in the country to express their views and discuss this at a religious leaders conference in the near future. Also, I invite all the Sri Lankan intellectuals residing abroad who are showing a keen interest on this to share their views on the matter.
ශ්‍රී ලාංකික දේශීය හා විදේශීය උගතුන්ගේ බුද්ධිමතුන්ගේ අදහස් මේ කරුණවලදී සැලකිල්ලට ගැනීම සඳහා ඔවුන්ගේත් හමුවක් පැවැත්වීමට මම බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
A grade 3 student from Richmond College, Galle, died after he was knocked down by a train. Police said that the student met with the tragedy when he attempted to cross the tracks.
Pubudu Thikshana, a grade 3 student from Richmond College, Galle, set off home after spending the day at school engaged in his studies. Like on other school days, he used the shortcut to get home, that is, to cross the train tracks. However, today his journey was cut short by a moving train. Pubudu Thikshana was knocked down by a train travelling from Galle to Alutkama and was admitted to the Karapitiya Teaching Hospital. However, he was pronounced dead upon admission. Locals say that students crossing the tracks on a daily basis has only raised the risk of accidents in the area.
The signal was on and the gate was closed. The child had come here with 5 other children and the driver. En route, the child had moved ahead and crossed the tracks. It was then that the child was knocked down by the train. There is a by road that leads to Richmond College. Many of them cross from here. Parents sometimes race their children onto the platform. Sometimes you cannot even see the oncoming train.
The recording of evidence gathered from the magistrate inquiry over the murder of Seya Sadawmi took place at the Minuwangoda Magistrates Court today.
The OIC of the Kottadeniyawa police requested for a court order to inspect the contents of the laptop which belonged to the 17-year-old schoolboy who was arrested over the murder and was later released. The magistrate ordered to send the laptop to the Moratuwa University for examination and to submit a report to the CID and also submit a copy of the report to the Kottadeniyawa police. The mother of Seya Sandewmi also provided evidence today.
Today, the coroner's reports on the murder of Seya Sandewmi was to be produced in court. Further evidence was recorded from the mother of the victim. The case was postponed to the 5th of October. 2 petitions that were filed against the national list of the United People's Freedom Alliance were postponed to the 16th of October by the Supreme Court. The petitions were filed by Somavira Chandrasiri of the MEP and the leader of the Lanka Samaja Party, former Minister Thissa Vitarana. The petitions were taken up before the bench of Supreme Court judges Chandra Ekanayaka, Priyantha Jayawardena and Upali Aberathna. The petitioners seek the appointment of defeated candidates to be cancelled and they be appointed from the national list.
එක්සත් ජනතා නිදහස් සන්ධානයේ ගියවර පත් කරපු ජාතික ලැයිස්තුවේ නීති විරෝධී ලෙස
We filed a petition with the Supreme Court against the change of the UPFA national list in an illegal manner and the General Secretary of the Alliance making a decision without any consultation. The case was to be taken up today. One of the respondents, Minister Mustafa, had taken ill. Therefore, the case was postponed until the 16th of October.
අසනීප තත්ත්වයක් වාර්තා කරපු නිසා ඔක්තෝබර් 16 වෙනිදාට මෙම නඩුව විභාගයට ගැනීමට තීරණය දුනා.
සුසිල් ප්‍රේමජයන්ත හිටපු
The former General Secretary of the Alliance, Susil Premajayantha, was removed from his post as per a court order. He had made a decision in 2 hours and presented it to the Elections Commissioner. That is wrong. There is court order citing that this individual cannot operate as the General Secretary.
The investigations that were conducted to ascertain as to whether drug baron Gampula Vithanage Samantha Kumara, alias Velesuda, who is currently under arrest, had moved the money earned through drug peddling overseas through his associates, were produced before court today.
The CID informed the Colombo Chief Magistrate, Gihan Pilapitiya, that they had uncovered the names of 5 persons through investigations. It was also revealed that these persons are currently incarcerated. The officials further informed court that investigations are underway to uncover as to how the 5 incarcerated persons had moved the money. CID also requested court to take up this case again on the 16th of October. Moreover, Mohammed Siddiq, who is said to be an associate in Velesuda's drug ring, was further remanded until the 16th of this month. Although the attorneys appearing for Mohammed Siddiq requested for bail to be granted, bail was denied due to the objections raised by the CID.
The government has taken a decision to ease the restrictions on vehicle leasing. Speaking at a media briefing in Colombo today, Minister of Finance Ravi Karunanayake said that the maximum limit of the facility for vehicle leasing will be increased to 90% from 70%.
Recently, Central Bank of Sri Lanka issued a directive to offer leasing facilities on motor vehicles only up to a maximum of 70% of the loan to value. The central bank announced that the decision was made to ensure the stability of leasing companies.
Hire purchasing sambandhen noek
Views were expressed on hire purchasing. We have decided to reduce the restriction from 30% to 10% until we present the budget. We were informed that there was an obstacle for a secondary market in Sri Lanka. After the budget, we will present a long-term plan.
In more local news, the 7th annual academic sessions of the Endocrine Society of Sri Lanka was held in Colombo yesterday.
The event was held under the auspices of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and world-renowned consultant for endocrinology from the US, Professor Susan Davis, as the guest of honor.
We ourselves are committed. Today, the government is committed to a healthier nation and a better educated nation. So how do we do it? And this is the matter, that is an issue which we have all been discussing. You have as your President, a former Minister of Health, and you have as your Prime Minister, former Minister of Education. I think that's a unique combination we have not had earlier. But that does not mean that we are going to achieve results overnight. We are listening to you all. But as we ensure that more money is being spent on education and on health. We have to get value for money. But it's not a question of just voting money in the budget. It's not a question of transferring from one head to another.
Endocrinology is a medical specialty dealing with hormones and hormonal disorders, which include diabetes, thyroid problems, and pituitary diseases.
The SAARC Investment Forum, held under the theme Turning Point in South Asian Tourism, focused its attention on investment opportunities during its sessions.
The event, which was organized by the SAARC Chamber of Commerce and Industry, mainly focused on cooperation for investment in the tourism sector.
I think we have won the hearts and minds by ensuring that Sri Lanka is a nice destination for tourism. To ensure proper investments coming in, we'll have the necessary requirements of getting you all into that investment safe mode. Taxes will be reduced if your investments are genuine. Not just to come and buy Sri Lankan land for nothing, but if it's investment oriented, you'll have that benefit. That's the way that we intend developing our tourism industry. We can see a rapid movement. We'll open the markets up, we'll free the financial systems up, and put Sri Lanka into where it should have been as in the history that we earned that name. Declaration today is very timely. We intend placing many of them, opening many of these up in the next budget that is going to be placed on the 20th of November. Unfortunately, the previous political activities didn't put Sri Lanka in good stead, but those have been corrected.
Sri Lanka, as all of you are very well aware of, is a country that has had a difficult past. In achieving our goals, Sri Lanka is committed to work as friends of the entire world, but very especially as friends of our neighbours, the SAARC countries. His Excellency Maithripala Sirisena's government is ready to join hands with all SAARC member countries in order to walk towards future. Technology is rapidly developing. Sri Lanka is one of the forerunners in the region in technology development, especially in communications sector, and in tourism sector also. We are booming. We are out of terrorism. We are in for infrastructure development. We have achieved. Colombo was rated the fastest developing city in the world, and we are now getting to be one of the countries that has best governing patterns.
The opening of the 10th consecutive Adhyapana 2015 exhibition took place today. The event will feature over 100 leading universities and institutes offering scholarships to the students aiming to pursue their higher education.
The exhibition was held under the auspices of State Minister of Defence Ruwan Wijewardena.
I think we can see a marked increase in the money allocated for education. This is something that has to be done for the betterment of the country, because investing in education is investing in the future of this country, and the future of this country lies on all these young students. And if we, from the government, if we can do more to help you all to serve our country's future, then by all means we are ready to do so.
Adhyapana 2015 will come to a close on the 4th of October.
A young writer, Daniru Jayasuriya, launched his first book yesterday.
Journey to the Space, a book written by young Daniru Jayasuriya, was launched yesterday to coincide with International Children's Day.
I am very much pleased to welcome you most cordially this evening to my first ever book launch. I had a dream to write and publish a book, and it is being realized with this launch, of course, with the help of my dedicated parents.
The first copy of the book was presented to Ranjit Jayasundara, the principal of Daniru's alma mater. A large number of teachers, friends and well-wishers were present at the event.
And on sports news, we turn our attention to the Rugby World Cup, where Wales held on to see off a battling Fiji side and win their third consecutive game of the 2015 Rugby World Cup. Well, France scored 5 tries on their way to a bonus point victory over Canada and the top of Pool D, but they were pushed mighty hard by spirited Canada in Milton Keyes in front of a crowd of 28,145. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for you today. For the News First team, I'm Ramesh Irugal Bandara.
I'm Aishwarya Pinto. Good night.
Thank you.